Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're just
As soon as
fine.
I go off on mute here, yeah, I hear you.
Yep, I hear you.
Good morning.
Very good. Let's see, who are we missing? We are missing Wendy right now. I need to find the long form of our agenda for a second. I just pulled up the short form that's on the board meeting, so give me.
There you go, well, I got it.
Cool. Very good. Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call
Morning.
to order at 8:01. I note that we have full attendance, and we also have Bourne Community TV who is playing this and will record it. Once again, if anybody else is listening and wants to join in, the Zoom coordinates are on the town meeting calendar, and feel free to call in. Just note that under each of the agenda items that are posted on that agenda, let the committee discuss first, and then we'll invite any comments from the public. Okay, Anne Marie, is that sufficient?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
At any point in time, you can, ask the public for input.
Right. I think
After.
the way is agenda item by agenda item.
Right.
Okay, the first order of business is review and approval of the minutes from March 21st. And I confess, I just saw them this morning and I have not read them. So I'm going to
Yeah,
have
they
to
didn't get out until late last night. I'm so sorry. Things got out of control around here.
Okay,
Yeah, I haven't seen him either, so I would
You
have
should-
to abstain.
okay. Well,
They
at
should
that
be
point-
in your email, and I can put
Oh,
them
I
up.
saw the email, I just haven't opened it yet.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, given that, what I'm going to do is defer that review of those minutes till the next meeting. Okay, the next is Anne Marie, is there any public correspondence that's come in? No public correspondence. Okay. Moving on, the digital equity plan report. The select board did approve our letter with our recommendations and requests. And as far as I have not heard anything back, and I do not know whether they have made any comments back to, I guess it would be Liz, who's the contract administrator. Presumably, she would immediately send those forward to us if she got any comments back.
And I can follow up with Liz.
Okay. Yeah. The next item, and this kind of merges with the funding opportunities, is the plan for going forward to try to get one of the DEI grants. And there are a lot of moving parts going on here, so I'm going to defer perhaps to Brian to say what the schedule for the DEI grant is right now.
Where is my phone? I have to have my phone.
I don't know.
I emailed out a schedule or a draft schedule of what I think is achievable. Week by week, what's got to be done. I emailed that out a while back. Let me see where it is.
Right, I can bring it up if Jen wants
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
Undo
go ahead
it.
and bring it up.
Okay, give me a second here to share that. Let's see, here we go. Share screen. All right, there we are. Here we are, right here. There it is.
It's pretty self-explanatory, and the end date where it must be delivered to MBI is at the very end. So this is a rough timeline, for people to comment on, I guess.
Yeah, well, first of all, I thought it was excellent. Second, can you go up to number one? It looks like we've got to get a few things done, like today.
Yeah.
present the grant opportunity and recommend pursuing it. So I think we ought to do those things.
I recommend pursuing it. Looks like a light lift. It's one of the lightest lift grants, especially most of the digital equity grants tend to be lighter time requirements to produce. So they're generally worthwhile to pursue.
Right, so it seems like we've got to do item 2 and item 3 today.
Yes. Or well, item 1 and 2, and then forward it over to the select board by like tomorrow.
Right, but if we're gonna prepare an official recommendation, I think it has to be approved by the committee.
Can I
Right,
get a
well-
copy of this, pretty please?
Yeah,
I
forward it.
emailed it a few days ago. Well, not a few days ago, a week ago.
Huh.
Let me see if I can email you a copy, Wendy, while we're standing here.
Thank you, dear.
Okay.
So what are we doing? So what do we gotta do today then? We got 2, so prepare an official recommendation to be presented to the board. So does that have to be in some kind of written form, or can we just socialize that verbally?
Well, I think we can write it right down, send this roadmap along to the select board, saying that, we recommend that this roadmap, be followed. And just point out the deadlines and say this is, the money is available. This is relatively easy. Most of the money would be, well, we need to just give them an idea of what we're going to go forward with in terms of looking for how we're going to spend the money. Just with
Yeah, right.
with regard to the second bullet, I have already talked to the chair of the library. It's not an advisory committee; it's the board
Trustees.
of trustees. The
Board
board
of
of
Trustees.
trustees. I have not heard back from. Her name is Christina Produce. I haven't heard back from her. They presented that a couple of days ago at the trustees board meeting. And she said just discussions among them, they were interested. The library director is still out on sick leave, so her second in command, Terry, I can't remember the last name, Anne-Marie, but was generally in favor. The
See
item,
if it, fine, see if it fell out of your pocket.
So just in general, Bob, I think we're talking about outdoor Wi-Fi, right?
Right.
Extending outdoor Wi-Fi in public buildings. So, I think for the select board discussion, I think we can keep it a little general and just say, extending outdoor Wi-Fi in public buildings. The library looks like a good spot, maybe the schools, but that would be the general idea.
okay,
Right.
So should we just
And-
add a paragraph at the top to make that clear? Or
What-
Well,
somewhere
I'm thinking, do you want to do it as a separate document or the same document?
What else is involved with, is it going beyond just extending Wi-Fi in municipalities, or is it also about, the Chromebook issue that the library is interested
Oh.
in?
Yeah.
So that's all part of digital equity,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not just about the Wi-Fi. So I think
Yeah,
that,
yeah. No, I'm trying to make a list.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
I'm
Well,
trying to
I
make the
think the
list, and at the
important-
same time, I'm trying not to go like down a rabbit hole with the select board, right? So if we say item 1 is extending outdoor Wi-Fi on public buildings like the library. Number 2, extending the loan program at the library, potentially Chromebooks, maybe hotspots, right? Item 3 is
Okay,
Well,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, so the program
Data-
itself,
data
how
gathering.
that money is going to be spent is a key piece of, the presentation to the select board. And again, we have this little it's important money to go after because it's a no-brainer, really, right?
Right.
And the qualifications for us, certainly for the town, are being met.
And we should probably
The-
explain there's no contracting headache because the money goes straight to the Cape Cod Commission, so it's a light lift.
Right, so here's like the school committee as an elected body, the trustees are an elected body and make decisions about, right? So I don't, you know, that's actually a conversation that we need to have with the full select board in proceeding forward with this and how that pans out. Whether we, you know, whether we get a directive from the select board to approach the trustees in a more formal manner with this process and the trustees of the library take over the grant writing, or if it falls under facilities. I'm not sure what the answer is to that. So that's something that, yeah, we need to get in front of the select board about.
Anne Marie, just a quick aside here, in the extensive documentation, which I have not waded through all of, it basically says the current contractor, first of all, in terms of writing the grant proposal, the current contractor is automatically qualified and MBI will pay the contractor, i.e. the Cape Cod Commission, to write the grant proposal. And I think what we ought to do is continue along that vein. And because either the commission or maybe county government have been providing IT, et cetera, services, is we put more time in for Hank, I guess I don't know his full name, who's been providing the in-house IT services, for him to, or the county to manage putting these extra facilities in, and you know, maybe providing some support for the Chromebooks for a year or something like that.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah,
basically, the money flows to the Cape Cod Commission or the county, and they do it with some oversight from the town, which presumably would be us, since there's no money involved.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Do
All
we
right.
start a paragraph
it
at the
does.
top for
It
the
does.
select board to have that discussion? Or should we make it a separate document?
I think we ought to just note that the MBI in their grant documentation has said that they will pay the existing digital equity planning contractor to write the grant for the town. And we also recommend that the county IT services be given extra money to implement any of the recommendations as we write the grant, to minimize, basically say to minimize or eliminate any need for town staff time, and state that very explicitly. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Who's the
yeah,
fastest typist of us to start putting that on the screen?
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, Bob, so what are you gonna present physically? Are you gonna put up Brian's document? Are you gonna have two documents? How do you want to do it?
I think we say what we just said is in the front letter, and the last paragraph is said the committee has reviewed and approved the following timeline to pursue the grant.
So there's a letter.
It's a letter.
So
Okay, and
So let's
with
start
this-
a letter ahead of this, at the top of this, and let's just start banging it out so we have
Yeah,
something
we
on
gotta
the
do it.
page.
We have to do it today.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, the front letter should be very direct on programming, how the money is going to be spent, the recommendation on how the money is going to be sent, and the process, like you said, Bob, with respects to Cape Cod Commission, et cetera.
All right. Who wants to type?
Here's Wendy.
Wendy
Thank you,
volunteered.
Wendy.
Wendy's our expert wordsmith here.
Send me a quick email,
Check-
what you want.
check your
I'll
inbox.
do it right now.
But I sent you Brian's thing. You should have it.
Okay.
Well, we gotta do it live right
Right,
now.
so if I can take this off
Ah.
and
Yeah, take it down.
Okay.
good, and then Wendy can put up her screen.
Coming on there. Okay. All right.
Yeah, probably won't be more than 1 or 2 paragraphs because it's pretty.
No.
Yeah, so
Pretty quick.
paragraph 1 is here's the programming, or basically the things you want to do with the money. And then paragraph 2 was the MBI position on paying the contractor to do it and to do the grant, and that we would also include money for IT so the town wouldn't have to be taxed at all.
There we go.
Wendy, let me start. Dear Select Board, as
Wendy, you want to share your screen, Wendy? And
I'm trying to find the frigging thing. They updated my Zoom this morning and it's
mine too,
gone.
mine too.
There we
I,
go.
I sent you an email
I
with the
got it.
document.
I got it. All right, here we go. Come on.
If we had fast
There
internet, it
it
would
is.
have been
Okay.
there by now.
Yeah, there we are.
Got it? All right. Okay. Okay, first paragraph. Go.
Based on, dear Select Board.
Yeah.
Based on the recently completed digital equity study by the Cape Cod Commission, the town now qualifies for a digital equity implementation grant. Your SciTac
Mhm.
strongly recommends
Okay. Yes.
that the town apply for this grant, comma, using the services, the continued services of the Cape Cod Commission.
Yeah.
No. Using the continuing, I'll finish the thought first. The continuing services of the Cape Cod Commission, comma, to both draft the grant proposal and administer the grant.
Okay.
Administer the grant directly.
Okay.
Administer the grant funds directly.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say IT, I just say
Yeah.
the grant funds.
Yeah, I know. Excuse me for a second. All right, never mind. All right. Okay, I'll put in the missing small words afterwards. I'm just trying to get the sense of it here. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Is that thought okay for everybody?
Yes.
Just hit him right, exactly what we want right up at the front. I would say the next paragraph.
Mhm.
Based on the recommendations in the DEI report, SciTac sees, or I just say sees for the time being, SEES, the following components that could be included in the grant proposal.
Should we say recommends rather than sees?
Yeah, I guess that's good. Anybody chime in with other words here?
I don't want to
freeloading
slow
here.
you down, Bob. You're doing great.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine.
The following items are in the draft proposal. First bullet,
Who's in the car?
Oh, imagine that. Sorry, small household emergency here. Okay.
it's okay. At 6 a.m. I was standing out in the street and up to my ankles in water as I tried to clean out my my neighbor's storm drain as my driveway was flooding.
Okay,
No.
go ahead.
Okay,
Can I just make a recommendation on that line?
sure.
Okay, so based on the recommendation in the report, CTEC recommends the following. I would say not items, I would say, program proposal for implementation of the grant.
Okay,
Because
so
we're
what's the,
creating a program, right?
I understand that.
That's,
So but if we're making bullet lists, those are sort of gonna be like items.
oh, well, I see what you're saying, but I
Well, just
think,
say the following elements or whatever of items, elements of a program proposal,
yeah, okay,
program implementation proposal.
yeah, yeah.
This is awful, but I'll fix it.
No, pretty close. Number one is improved indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi.
Just outdoor.
Tina Produce says indoor, it's crappy too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean,
That wouldn't fall under the digital equity identified need, so it was
Okay.
outdoor usages in the report, so we just leave it
yeah,
at outdoor.
exactly. Yeah, the report only talked about outdoor. And my suspicion about indoor is that it's not gonna just be buy some equipment problem. It's more sophisticated than that.
Outdoor Wi-Fi
Access.
access
For the public.
for the public.
Okay.
The library
Mm,
And other public buildings.
and other public buildings.
mm.
And then I put parenthesis in cooperation with the library trustees and other involved agencies. Just to make it clear, we're not getting off the reservation here.
And
And other involved public agencies.
Should we just be specific and call it county IT?
No. What I'm talking about is if we want to put Wi-Fi, say outside the Veterans Community Building, et cetera, we
Oh,
talk to
okay,
the
yeah,
folks
got
who
it.
manage that. If we want to put it outside the schools, we,
Got it, never mind.
yeah, okay.
Cart before the horse.
Yeah. The next is
Bob, can I interject because I have the language up here. I don't know if you want to pull language directly out of Wendy, the report, but specific to that, it's like promote public Wi-Fi availability. And it speaks to specific to the library and the schools.
I mean,
And
Should we just say like a page number, see page X of report?
yes, 44.
Good deal.
And that would save us a lot of words, and if they want to read, they can just pull it
Yeah.
up real fast that way.
right, but again,
one would think they could take our word for it if we're
no,
writing it
they
down
don't
here,
take our
and they-
word for it. And
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Marlene
can
will
cite
not take
sources,
our
it
word,
always saves
but-
everyone a lot of work, so
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
always good form.
But at the same time, I want to make this self-contained, so anybody who picks it up without bothering to go through that stuff gets an understanding of what's going
Sure.
on. With the library trustees, the school board and other involved public agencies. Okay, I would definitely say the school board,
School committee.
school committee. Okay.
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 If
The
I
next-
can interject again, Bob,
Sure.
I think the next line you were talking about devices.
Yes.
Was that the next? So the language from the it says improve on current and develop
And
new
developed?
new public without the D.
Improve.
What? Give me
Well,
the whole sentence, Anne Marie. That's not making sense.
Okay, improve on current and develop new public computing device offerings. Develop new public computing device offerings.
That's a terrible sentence, but I'll figure out a better way to say
Well,
it.
it's a title and the
What's the page
subsequent
number?
paragraph, same
Oh,
page,
I see.
44.
44?
So you can make
Yeah.
it a sentence, but that's the bulk of that language about
Okay,
one
well,
of the recommendations.
Should we just quote it? Say,
Yeah.
and then we
quick quotes on
can
that.
say what we want to do with that info in the next line?
It says improve on current, right?
And develop new.
And develop.
okay, okay, so I'm just trying to go parallel construction here. So we get improved public Wi-Fi, improved current and development of new public community, okay?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
same thought.
It's a bullet, so.
Yeah,
Do we want to actually say, loaner Chromebooks, or just leave that for the details later on?
I prefer
I
to
would-
leave that.
Leave it for the details
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
in reference that page 44 when
And
you're
you can
having.
always say that in the wording, Bob, if they ask more detail,
Sure.
when
Okay.
you're talking to them.
The next is, we want to, there's a recommendation in there about, public housing, if I'm not mistaken, right?
well, let's see.
I don't know.
I don't.
Yeah, there is, because that was in the minutes. I just typed them up yesterday.
No,
to
no,
do-
not
to-
in the minutes, in the DEI report. It's
I
said-
understand that, but we referred to it.
Oh. Let me see.
That's mostly under the,
Look at it now. Page 44.
yeah, it's the terms of the public housing grant is, they can't have fiber already. They have to have state and federal funded affordable housing. There are,
Right, that's a different grant.
I
Yeah.
know, but it's this, but they're the same concepts, right?
Well, but we can only get funding for stuff that was in the digital equity grant.
Right,
We
and
get
that
the
wasn't in
digital-
it.
I understand that. Okay, go ahead.
Just jumping ahead a little bit, what I'd like to do is, in a little bit, write another letter to the select board, asking them to, ask Verizon and, Open Cape, to connect the 4, Bourne Housing Authority facilities. Which is not, it's just a letter that to the companies to go and apply for those grants.
Right, but that's a
I know,
different grant.
I agree, but
Yeah, we'll get to it to a later agenda item because
Yeah.
I talked to MBI a little bit about that.
okay,
All right.
Yeah, so the housing authority is mentioned in the connectivity section of the DEI grant. And it's actually part of the promote public Wi-Fi availability. It included the housing authority in that section.
and just say, comment, yeah, including.
Oh, I know how we could make it together. Encourage the Cape Cod Commission to work with the Bourne Public Housing Authority to obtain the grants. I think, maybe that gives a little bit of management time from the Cape Cod Commission to handle that, or at least opens the door to that being an option.
Like that.
And then maybe put the page number of wherever the public housing was mentioned.
So in other words, use the digital equity planning grant money to fund the Cape Cod Commission to write the grant for the housing authority? Is that the thought?
That's a whole separate, because as of right now, they want to commit 100, the state wants to commit, right? 100% of public housing funding to have access, right? So I don't think this.
Yeah,
I don't
actually, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
agree
I
with you. Where you're going with
wouldn't reference the housing authority because they're already on this separate pathway for
Yeah.
getting money.
Okay. Wendy,
Okay.
save the sentence for later for the other letter. Just cut it and move it with the Verizon Cape Cod stuff. So let's just save the text
That up
because it's a
there.
different
Right,
matter.
putting your parking lot up there, that's great.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
what
a good
is,
thought, but in the wrong place.
do we want to put, do we have an opportunity here to do any requested speed testing of
Yeah,
of identified digital equity, what would you call them, stakeholders?
I guess, I would say, my opinion is that doing something like the Digital Navigator program would have more impact on the town than speed testing.
there's no other pot of funding though for speed testing. So
But can this money be used for that?
So if it's a need identified in the report, and the
It
need
is.
identified in the report is a lack of data with the school-aged population.
It is.
Right.
I guess okay, so I think this is gonna take up a chunk of money, probably half of it. And I just don't see that it's gonna really pay dividends. That's my-
Okay.
I-
So
I
you-
tend to
the-
agree with that. I also, I think a more direct approach, like they talked about the hotspot lending program, that stuff makes an immediate impact. Long term, the speed
in there.
testing, yeah.
But
Right.
so the challenge is the call today about the challenge process is literally today. So
So
we don't know if there's going to be any other resources available to try and gather this data. So for BEAD, and BEAD's a lot of money.
I get that. I mean, even if we had, I mean, I hate to drill down on this, but so for the speed testing, you have to get 3 data points within a certain period. They can't be consecutive. They have to be spread over a couple of days. All
Mhm.
3 have
Mhm.
to be underserved. And then Comcast can come back and say, oh, we tested 2 days later and it was fine, and it gets thrown out. I mean,
Well, so the area challenge, we can cherry pick. The challenger can cherry pick, but the defender cannot. So they have to pick at random.
but you don't need speed tests for the area challenge. MBI can declare Cape Cod underserved.
Right.
Well, they haven't done
Without
it. We've
speed
asked them a
tests.
dozen times. So.
Right, but all right, I mean, I've made my point.
Yeah, we can put it in. I mean, right now, we're just putting a shopping list together. We can drop it later on based on exactly those arguments. I mean,
That's fine.
we've
Well,
got a couple-
I still think that then I would include the digital, what do you want to call it, creating or expanding a digital navigator program.
that's definite, right?
Well, it's not on the list yet.
Well,
Well,
again,
Are we ready to put it on the list? Are we finished
Yeah.
like with that? Okay.
Um, well, it's a
I don't,
non,
does it exist yet?
yeah.
It does, okay.
Well, do we want to say, using, Cape Cod Commission expertise?
I wouldn't go there yet, because I think there's a lot of ways to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could see where the navigators are volunteers, but it's managed by the county or the town. For
I
example.
agree with Jed. Too soon to specify who does that work.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, in the
Okay.
report, the report does support regional collaboration. Do we want to use this money for that? That's, should we use this money for support for regional collaboration? Because that was one of the recommendations, and then it falls into Jed, what you were
Yeah.
saying about the navigating
yeah.
and
Well, I think we
that
can talk-
planning.
I think we can discuss that below in a paragraph on management, of both the grant preparation and the grant itself. And again, the prime directive here is to offload as much as possible from town administration. Okay.
Okay.
The more we state explicitly that we're looking for one, well, I'll I'll blurb on once we get to that paragraph. Are we done with the bullets that we need to put in there?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get any more out of 100K, so we don't
Yeah, I
wanna
agree.
expand the
Yeah.
list any further.
Yep.
It's gonna be tight to do all 4 of those.
Right, I mean, fixing the library to do it right would probably cost $30,000 or $40,000, I would think.
Yeah.
And if they were to redo the system in there and do it properly.
No, I don't, well,
And-
maybe. I mean, I,
Internal maybe, but just an external antenna.
Oh,
is a
no, no,
little bit
I'm talking about
simpler.
redoing the whole thing. I mean.
no,
Yeah,
no, I don't-
internal is a harder beast than the one external access point
Oh, yeah.
directional.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
the list is sufficient.
no metal in the middle.
And these are all, these are the 4 recommendations, but the decision might be to focus in on, 2 or 3 with the money, right? How best, the other part is this, of those 4 things, what is the significant, what's the priority and what's the best
Okay.
use of the money?
Should we say, based on the recommendations, we recommend blah, 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 in
Yeah.
priority order?
Well, my priority is always whatever gets us more money in the long run for more work
Okay.
to be done, so.
Okay, so which one of these would meet that criterion?
If, and that's a big if the speed testing is gonna unlock money, it's a lot. But it's still an if at this point.
But that's not, and I think though, that's kind of a stretch based on the recommendations. They didn't specifically say speed testing in the report. They talked about, increased data.
Well,
Well,
it's-
so
it's-
that's how
it's-
that's how
it's
you
the
get
state-
better data.
In order to.
No, I know
increase
that,
Yeah,
but
Hmm.
for the town as a whole, I'm just telling you that the value of the money is more important for direct town
Applications.
applications.
I-
It's,
yeah.
how will it benefit directly to,
Right.
right, to the people?
Right, I think what Anne Marie is saying is that, you can buy physical assets or you can buy a study. And thinking of myself as a townsperson, putting myself in the position of a townsperson who may not have the technical understanding to get the speed test part of it, they'd say, well, what are you doing? You can say, oh, we fixed the library up and we added these access points that they can see. A study is something that's a little invisible. So they're going to say, where's this money going? So I
Right.
agree with the
Right.
concept. Speed testing would give us a long-term solution, but short-term to fix a few things would probably have better visibility.
Yeah, we don't have to.
Yeah, that's why I think I
prioritize
need
these
to be a
at this
mix.
point.
A mix of short term, a mix of long term stuff in order to be like, hey, here's a win today and here's a win for the long run.
Right, but
Okay,
if we had to prioritize them, I'd put one in, I'd list the prioritization as it is right there.
Yeah.
I
and-
would put the
Yeah.
speed testing last and the digital navigator up front because, they specifically talked about reaching
I
out to
wouldn't-
regional support, in collaboration. So if this is an avenue that we reach out more and do a more collaborative, then we're getting, right, more other municipalities involved in this process and connecting us with the needs. So, like last time we met, Wendy, we talked about letters to Simla and then, how do we build that support? So
So
I
I'd
think
like
that-
to raise a counter argument to that.
Yeah.
MBI seems bent on prioritizing non-network building type digital equity. So, and they keep talking about working regionally. Our consultants keep talking about towns working together with each other. I think there's going to be more of these small grants coming down the pipeline to handle, digital, to be helpful with digital navigators, to be helpful with these kind of softer things. And so that's why I think we should try to, get some hard things done, like speed testing and Chromebooks and Wi-Fi while we have, money to build stuff.
I agree.
By the way, on
And
the second
any
bullet,
leftover bead money goes to DEI
Okay,
anyway, so I
well-
think
well-
they're gonna dump it into that.
Well, while you've been sort of going down those particular rabbit holes, I've kind of cleaned this up a little bit. Is this the way you want it so far?
I like it.
I like it. On the second bullet, though, what I would say, new public community offerings, e.g., I'd eliminate speed testing and I'd say loaner Chromebooks. Okay. Comma, portable hotspots, etc. Okay. Digital navigator. Yeah, I think that's it. $100,000 isn't going to go very far. Okay. If they like what we do, money will magically appear. As we've figured out, MBI has its favorite children, and they seem to they get fed fairly regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So the digital navigators are referenced on page 48.
Thank you. Okay, is this it?
Now we have the second paragraph that Bob was talking about. And I forget exactly.
Well, I was going to talk about grant preparation and
Yeah.
implementation. Let Wendy finish her formatting there.
Oh, I hate this. I just
Yeah.
I hate fucking
Tab backwards.
All
Oh,
right.
she's on a Mac. So
No, I just loathe Word. If I were doing this on Pages, it'd be all done by now. All right, go
okay,
ahead. I'll fix it.
okay. The next paragraph. To prepare and then implement the grant. Comma, your SciTac recommends continuing to use the services of the Cape Cod Commission,
Mm-hmm.
and possibly the IT department in Barnstable County.
Oops. Too many words. Okay. Okay, what else?
I guess the next paragraph is the MBI's RFP for this implementation grant specifically states that they will pay any what would you call them, add-on costs?
Administrative costs.
Well, it's an add-on to the existing grant, okay, is what it is. That we'll pay our current DE contractor to prepare the grant proposal.
The
Yeah.
which is this? The IT person?
To pay, to pay the current DEI planning contractor, comma, the Cape Cod Commission. Directly to prepare this proposal.
Okay.
SciTac recommends that, yeah,
Okay.
let me just give the thought. SciTac recommends that the grant proposal also include funds for the commission to continue in this role, and, manage, expenditure of the grant funds for the above activities.
That's administer.
Administer. The funds to that end. Okay. Let's see, comma, or just say a new sentence. This will, minimize or eliminate, the need for, just say, minimize the pressure on town resources and
Okay.
I would just say minimize the use of town resources.
the use of town
Mhm.
resources.
That's a good idea.
Or should we say, the obligation for the town to do this, or
No, I
No,
think
just
the use of town
minimize the
resources.
use of town resources.
Yeah.
they should
Once
know
it
what that
gets
means?
once the proposal is in, the digital equity contract, for the commission has with the town ends. And at that point, the commission then administers the money, for this new activity on behalf of the town, but
Yeah.
without any need for it to go through the town, the finance office, to have a specific town administrator assigned to it to watch the funds.
Okay.
Is that a
They
fair?
almost act like a project manager, right?
Yeah, exactly.
An OPM.
The county has acted as an extension of town staff in a number of ways, both in the commission and with the IT. And if they think Hank is the best way to get the new Wi-Fi things in, then God bless. Take the money and run. Do it the cheapest way and most efficient way to do it.
Hey,
You know,
how's
leave it
that?
to them. I hope the guy's name is Hank. If he's listening, he may be reviewing this later on. I just want to make sure
It is.
I get the guy's name right.
No, we'll need his last name.
Nah,
But-
they know
No,
it.
no, not for this.
Not
So
for
I
this.
think this is good.
No,
Yeah.
the next, and then one more paragraph.
Okay.
And just say, just say the SciTech continues to, has discussed this extensively, and we have prepared the attached, proposed timeline, for, what was saying, preparing the proposal, and, within the time deadline set by MBI for your review.
Hmm. Hmm. Say that again to develop,
Well,
to what? Extensive, and expensively, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please see the attached proposed timeline for your review. And I just leave it at that. It's obvious
Okay.
what it is
Right.
for.
And then maybe you want to start the sentence with your CTAC. to be
Your
consistent.
SciTech, right? That's
I
great.
think that's silly, but
No,
that's
no,
what you
no,
want.
I mean,
Well, I'm just trying to be
is-
consistent with the first paragraph.
well, I don't think it belongs there either.
well,
you know,
there's,
just-
there's
what do you
some
like?
rumbling that, that,
The,
we're acting independently like an elected commission. So I want to say, it is, we ought to say, spell it out the first time, advisory commission. Your advisory commission, I think is the appropriate,
all right,
Yeah.
I want to keep emphasizing that to, make it clear that
Your
we
advisory
advise
committee.
them and
Committee, yeah.
we act at their behest.
Yeah.
right.
I can't type today. All right.
So it's cable
Yeah.
and what is it?
Cable.
Cable, internet, and
and
telecommunications.
telecommunications.
Internet.
Very good.
And I mean, they ought to know who we are.
Right. And then on the next one, it says, based on the recommendations in the report, the CTAC recs. That probably should be recommendations.
Yeah, it will
But
be.
she was just putting in
I-
those
I
things down,
was-
that you can fix them.
Yeah, okay.
I was trying to
Yeah, well, I
take,
think we need to finish the text,
Get it as,
okay,
get it as polished as we can right here.
right?
Vote on
okay,
it.
I'm
And,
still gonna have to, I'm still gonna have to like format the margins and crap like that. Can you, wait on
Yep.
that for a few minutes or what?
Well, I think we can approve the
get the-
text and,
If we get the text, all right?
yeah, and then after that, Wendy, you can send that to me later today and I will, I'll send it off after we vote on it.
Okay,
But the one last thing is, give it, I would say, put another paragraph in. And, I would say, given the short, timelines
Hmm.
of this, of MBI's request for proposal, we look forward to discussing, this proposal with the select board at your earliest opportunity. Thank you again for your continued support of,
yeah,
okay.
well, can we,
all right.
yeah. So do you want to work this offline now? Or do we want to finish the text now? We need to vote on the final text today.
Well, I would say we can vote on the text even if the formatting is not perfect.
All right, well, how about the
Mhm.
last paragraph and then how are we gonna sign it?
Before we go, I think this sentence is almost burying the lead here. Because we have discussed this extensively. And there's the,
Okay, I like it.
Yeah,
It's just that you need to,
yeah, that's good. Okay. Second paragraph, strongly recommends.
so if we're gonna spell out CTAC, you might want to do it in the above paragraph, right? You do
Yeah.
it in the first paragraph,
yeah,
right?
well, yeah, I do, well. This would have been the first,
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Fine.
Yeah,
Nope, that's fine.
we'll
No
move that
worries.
up there.
all right. Just in case they've forgotten who we are. Okay. Do we have to keep saying your? Or have we already established that we're
You'd say
there?
the CTAC.
You
I
can
like
go
the.
with that then.
I like,
Alright.
okay.
All right. Okay.
And I just say, thank you for your continued support. And I'll sign it as chair.
Okay. All right.
I'm good with it.
Everybody happy?
Mhm.
Looks good.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve this, this letter?
Yeah, I move that we approve this letter and the schedule. And that we have Bob send both of them to the select board.
Second,
Okay,
Yeah.
any further discussion?
I-
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, and certainly
Where'd
no
my pen
opposed, so
go?
it passes unanimously. Okay, I think that was an hour well spent.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, now what?
Okay, Wendy, when we finish,
You want to work on this one?
you can, finish that offline in terms of formatting only, and then send it to me. And, put some kind of a header from the SciTac at the top, and
Yeah.
I will get it off. I'll do that as an attachment to to an email to all select board.
Okay, where the heck did my undo the share screen? Yeah, that's how to start share screen sharing. Damn
Well,
it all! I
I
hate
think if you
this.
save the document and then quit Word, it will work.
Okay, and we will put that over here, just because we can. And
Okay,
well,
All right.
that was easier than it ought to be. Okay.
Now, there was one thing on the schedule that might come up before our next meeting was
Mhm.
Bob and Brian meeting with Liz, right?
I have not scheduled that or done anything with it.
No, I guess in terms of the committee, I just wanted to, I think the committee should at least acknowledge that you're gonna do that and give you guys support to do it.
yeah, that's
Right,
April
because you're gonna be
17th.
representing the committee when you have that meeting, right?
Yeah, true.
Right. I don't know if we need a formal vote, but I support you guys doing that. And we can then, I guess, if that happens before the next meeting, you can report back on how the meeting went.
That's okay. It may not happen before the next meeting only because I'm gonna be out of town without an internet connection.
Right, but
Yes.
at least by acknowledging it, it's on the record,
Right.
in case you guys want to do it.
Okay, very good. No objections, hearing no objections or no detailed instructions or guidance from the committee, we will go and do that.
And that is presenting this letter to the select board. Is that what we're talking about here?
No, so if
No.
you look on the schedule, so there was
Which I'm
something
trying to
listed for
open.
April 17th.
Hang on, let me share it, yeah.
Yeah, all right, good idea.
Yeah, I'm trying to get
Here
that
we
up right
go.
now.
You know, okay, there you are. So, yeah, April 17th is a meeting with Liz, so that she can make the official approach to the Cape Cod Commission.
Okay.
So I'm
and
just, so
What
for
are we
item
going to be
5,
doing? What are Bob and Brian going to be doing with there?
Well,
we
again,
discussed their
Liz
involvement in the
administers,
grant proposal.
the grant, the DEI planning grant. This will be an add-on or an extension of the DEI planning grant to go and write the implementation grant proposal. And it will be money that does flow through the town somehow. Again, the chain of command here is very strict. We have to go through Liz.
But money goes straight to the commission.
The money
Mhm.
goes straight to the commission, but again, the appointed administrator on this has been Liz, and Liz told me very explicitly I'm not to have any contact with the commission about digital equity without going through her. So,
Mhm.
given
Right.
that, I'll obey the chain of command.
Right, so my only point was on number 5, let's just say as a committee, we support Bob and Brian going forward on item number 5, and if that happens before the next meeting, then we'll look forward to some feedback on how that went.
Yeah.
Yep, agreed.
Anne Marie, to the extent when this letter goes in, to the extent that you can get, I realize it's a ridiculous time right now, but 5 minutes on the agenda just to discuss our recommendation and get some blessing from the select board to go forward. That'll make things much easier in dealing with the administration. If this, it's say, okay, now we can go forward and start talking to the Cape Cod Commission, use it through Liz. Otherwise, she's just going to defer back and say, well, we'll wait for guidance from the select board.
Right, I understand that. Yeah, let me, I'll have a conversation with Mary Jane to see how we can fit this into the agenda for Tuesday, because it's important and, it benefits the entire town. And we've had conversations, several conversations about, how do we go after this money? Because there's so much out there. And
Yeah.
we need to figure out a way to do that.
Yep.
As an administration, like we need to figure that out and prioritize, what's important, and how we best go after that money and how do we fund the process to go after that money. So that's been an ongoing conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think a useful verb there would be facilitate.
Right, so I think in what we're presenting, what you're presenting with respects to the programming and the bullet points and a process is I think going to be very helpful and useful in having that understanding of how we get this money.
Well,
You know,
hopefully,
it's,
hopefully it
I
works,
think
and any
that, and
feedback
I
is
think,
welcome.
I think it's the start of figuring that out, right?
Right.
Because that's our biggest obstacle. How do we go after this money, and, you know, who goes after it, right? And what entity and what town resources are needed to go after it. But in this situation, you know, there's opportunity here for a process that we can take a deeper dive and look to, as a board, at in attaining some of this funding.
Again, in your discussions, at least my thoughts are to try to, as much as possible, offload as much administration of some of this onto the Cape Cod Commission to act as the agent for the town, or to do this in consort for a regional navigator or a regional implementer or something like that, so that so that we get the benefits of somebody else's hard work to make this work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So often the DEI stuff, some random data point that only someone at the commission has, so they're in the best place to do a lot of these. You know.
Another point, this is a long-term thought, but when we get to perhaps BEAD proposals, BEAD challenges, etc., if we get BEAD funding, it would be worthwhile to fund a position under BEAD. There's so much money to actually do that within town hall, to pay for a position, period. Anyway, that's a thought. That's way down the line. Okay. Moving on. Can somebody pull up the long form?
Yeah,
agenda?
John, if you can,
Yep, there you go, there you go.
right, and then this is this one. So funding opportunities, draft letter.
Okay. Brian, what is the status of GAP round 2?
Radio silence from MBI. We've asked for follow-up and said just nothing. No silence, utter silence. They haven't published a new GAP dates.
They haven't even announced the GAP network round 1 winners.
Nothing.
I had a brief discussion with the guy who wrote the proposal for New Bedford, and they have heard squat, and they get the same response from MBI that we do. Nothing. Okay, you know, there's been no inquiries back about, gee, can you clarify this or that or the other thing, and they expected, and we're on the blocks ready to answer all kinds of detailed questions, and no questions came.
Well, we at least got a response that said we can't answer your question.
Right.
Huh.
That's
Well, it's data, I guess.
So yeah, you know.
they basically responded back, gee, we're reviewing your proposal, but we can't answer any questions now. Okay, they did respond. Josh did respond that way.
Would it be impolitic to respond saying, thank you for your response, by what date certain can we expect a response from you? Or an answer?
So we responded asking for some clarification. You know, is GAP round 2 still intended towards municipalities? You know, where are you guys? When you said you wanted us to like engage with you on grant rules, is that, you know, policy in stone now, or is that just like an idea? And nothing, just nothing, silence.
Okay, I'm going to move forward on that. Well, before we get to you know, any letters to SIMLA or MMA right now, I'm not sure of the utility of those. A more immediate need, and this is under general funding opportunities, is the availability of funds to connect public housing units. And Brian and I have worked with Cara Garcia. I can't remember. She's got a hyphenated name. I apologize if she's listening. What she needed to do is get three of the facilities on the south side of the canal on a long list that MBI maintains. There's one that's already on there. It's the one that's off of Belmont Circle. Forgive me, Continental. Okay, and there are two more. There's Roland Finney, which is right here in Pecasset Village, and there are two more that are on Waterhouse Road. And Brian, those are on the list now. Have you confirmed that? All four?
So I'm gonna read the exact wording I got back.
So but before Brian gets into that, I just have a quick question, Bob. What's the role of the committee here?
The role of the committee is, I'll get to that in a minute, is what we should do right now. My recommendation is that we send a note, we draft a letter from the select board on behalf of the Bourne Housing Authority to Verizon and to Open Cape that they apply for this grant, and they would be the applicants for this grant. Separate letters to each of the two companies, because three of these four facilities are immediately adjacent to their networks, either FiOS or the Open Cape backbone. And the fourth one, Roland Finney, is reachable for a reasonable amount of money from the Verizon co-location facility, the Wirehouse that's on Depot Road in North Falmouth.
Right. So I guess maybe Amber, you could help me out here just to understand the relationship between the town of Bourne and the Housing Authority. I mean, does the select board represent the Housing Authority to the state?
No, it's its own separate entity. It's part of the Department of Housing and Community Development.
Again, the real gravitas here comes from, maybe it could be a joint letter from both the select board and the Housing Authority.
So
I guess. I mean,
the logistics of this grant are different than other grants. The MBI pays the ISP, so that takes out a lot of the lifting here. I think this is more just an informal, like, hey, we tell the ISPs, by the way, you might have missed it, that these facilities are confirmed to have been added to, or being added by MBI to the list. We've reached out to them and said, hey, you were missing these three public housings. MBI has shot back an email just saying confirm that they've received the request to add them. And
yeah, the reason my recommendation is that it comes from the Housing Authority. I'm sorry, from the select board, is that the town of Bourne has contractual arrangements with both Verizon and with Open Cape.
that's fair. Yep.
Yeah. So,
All right.
that's the highest level that has direct contact. The Housing Authority does nothing with either of the other two. I think that it has a bulk Comcast cable TV arrangement with a couple of those units, but everything else is ad hoc.
I'm a little sleep deprived, so I just pasted the extent of the conversation in the chat to make sure I didn't misconstrue any of it, since it's we only got a one-word response.
So then a letter at the next
Great.
CTAC meeting, then we'll review a letter at the next CTAC meeting that we would then bring to the select board at a future meeting.
Is there any time pressure on this?
Let me check, because I think residential retrofit.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point out that we've already got something teed up for the select board that I think is pretty important.
Right.
And I would suggest that we get through that with the select board before we bring them this letter.
I think that's reasonable if there's no time pressure. I think if we do, I think we have to meet again next week, frankly. I was hoping to push it a little further, but
we could, I can meet on
write
just
the
on that
letter,
subject.
and I will go and I'll run over to Kara, or communicate with Kara, and just say, hey, this is a letter that we want the select board to send, and get her agreement.
Okay.
that this looks reasonable. And essentially what it does is it lists the addresses, the names and addresses of the 4 facilities, and say that they are on this, they are on the MBI spreadsheet.
So I would think that you'd want to do that before we vote on a letter, right? Because the letter that we vote on has to go to the select board, so.
Right, right. But I wanted to bring that up right now and just let
Sure.
you know that, just get your guidance on how to do
Is it-
this. So in my
There
understanding,
might be a time pressure because one of the ISP RFPs is due by April 17th, so we might have to.
Yeah, but we're not going to get in front of the select board in time for that.
So then I think we just move to make phone calls. It's just a simple phone call to Open Cape and Verizon, letting them know that MBI has updated the list of eligible parcels and we want you to be aware of it. And that maybe that's the extent of the communication, and we move to approve, recommending either there was a member of the select board or Bob handle it and leave that up to the select board to decide.
So who's
Say
gonna
that
make the
again now.
phone call, and do we write the letters for the select board anyway?
I will talk to Kara and let her know that I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make the phone calls, because I've got the names of the both the Verizon and the Open Cape person. Who should I call?
We're not telling them to do anything either, so it's just information sharing. Is that within?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So you're just sharing information. So,
I mean,
Bob, I'll send you a point of contact for Open Cape to get that information to, or I can even send that information to Open Cape if you
okay,
want.
well, I can.
Yeah,
I can do-
it's technically public info. It's just they might, because it's a smaller program, they might have missed the update, you know,
Yeah,
to
it's
the
just,
list.
it's just an awareness that these, Brian, did you list them in the chat? The areas?
so-
I have the email. I have more email exchange with Josh.
I got
see.
Continental, Roland Finney, and 2 more on Waterhouse.
I shared him directly the Bourne Housing page, and I know Bourne Housing submitted the addresses, but it would be Roland Finney, Continental, and Waterhouse.
Windswept and can't remember the other, Waterhouse, I think. I can't remember the names.
Here. I'll paste in the link to all the parcels.
So Anne Marie, are you gonna make those phone calls?
So they've been added to the, what list did you reference?
So the housing authority submitted the correct form for MBI to add missing locations, and MBI has
Oh,
confirmed
yeah,
that they've
that-
received it.
That's what I meant. That's okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
So barring some kind of, ball got dropped and didn't get added to the database, it's supposed to have been added to their database. So we can move, presumably because they have emailed back confirming that they've handled it. I think we're good to move forward, at least manually, to warn everybody, hey, these parcels are up for grabs per MBI.
Yeah.
Marie, are you gonna make those phone calls? You've talked to them before. Ellen Cummings for Verizon and I don't know who at Open Cape. We don't have a.
I haven't personally talked to Alan Cummings. I've just done it through meetings, but yeah, Open Cape, I'm all set.
Okay, I will call Verizon. And again, the
Okay.
point is that Open Cape's backbone goes by or very close to 3 of those facilities, and they could easily propose to make a run from their off of their backbone co-location facility, the one in North Falmouth, if they continue to use it, up to Roland Finney.
Okay.
Or they could go down, if their engineers chose to, the other route is to peel off at Barlow's and go down that way to Roland Finney. They're about the same distance, but it'll depend on the engineering, the headache, and their desires.
And they know exactly what the cost of the run from the North Falmouth is, because they basically had our proposal that our successful proposal to run right by there.
Okay.
So you know, that's a quarter, yeah, more or less $250,000 to make that connection.
Okay, so Anne Marie's gonna call Open Cape and you're gonna call
I'm gonna
Verizon?
call Verizon.
Okay,
And so we're not gonna do the letter?
We're not gonna do the letter.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's not
there's no
necessary
need-
for select board, let's not put any more on their plate than necessary
and
when
I
it's
don't think
public
there's,
info.
right, and I don't think there's need for,
If I
Um,
if I get this done in time, you know, during public comment, I'll just say, by the way, these 4 facilities have been identified as eligible for a public housing grant, and that we've contacted the 2 companies that have backbones that run very close to these facilities and asked them to go and apply for the money. By the way, and at least with regard to Verizon, I'm not going to be shy about saying, hey, we wrote a letter of support for your other grant. Have you heard anything about that? And you know, we'll continue to support, in this case, it's FiOS that they're running by there. If you want to go and serve at least the 3 north of the 3 right off of their FiOS system.
mm. Encourage them to run the down Barlow's Landing.
Well, they're not in Pocasset yet. They are only going as far as Monument Beach.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Having said that, moving forward, we know nothing about GAP round 2. I suggest we table right now, just for time, letters to SIMLA and MMA, because those would have to be approved by the select board, and that nothing's going to get done before town meeting, realistically.
Yeah, and I just checked again on MBI's website. There's no updated timeline on GAP. They're just radio silence on everything.
Okay. Is it okay if we again table the letter to SIMLA and MMA, or does anybody want to discuss content or anything like that?
Yeah.
Let's punt it to the next agenda, and
Yeah,
we'll
you know, frankly, given the lack of responsiveness of MBI, I don't see how you know, if they're going to pay any more attention to other people screaming at them in addition to us.
Well, I presume that when we get down to the part of liaison with legislators and staff, that this will be meat for, or grain for their mill, grist for their
I
mill.
do have one tactic thing to think about with MBI, because I saw a bunch of RFPs go out looking for support services on the challenge process, and it included like resources for people to tap. So maybe we got to recognize how people strapped they are, and that they're just trying to hire out the works. Maybe we got to couch our argument is, okay, who have you hired to do X, and how do we access it? You know, maybe that has to be the approach we take with MBI. Like, we need X. Who did you hire, and how do we get the funding?
Yeah. Well, speaking, let me just talk about the challenge process now for BEAD. Brian, what time is the telecon today?
11 o'clock.
11. Okay, who plans to be on that telecon? I do.
I can do it.
Okay, Brian, are you going to be on?
I can be on. I'm a little sleep deprived. Power went out and AC
just
went
be
off.
sure, just be sure you don't have a quorum. Is it,
That's why I'm polling the committee to for anybody who's planning to be on the call. If it's Brian, me, and Wendy, we'll cut it off at that if everybody's okay with that.
And if somebody would,
Yeah, it'll be recorded. So if something gets technical, we can always send the recording to Jed and John to comment. And you know, if we need to get clarification on the technical stuff, an email to Cornell Robinson, because he's the technical director, could be in order, you know, for a future agenda item.
Yeah. You know, I'm merging towards sharing Jed's pessimism about trying to go through the challenge process here, especially since they went through and at least nominally raised their Comcast at least raised their speeds,
Right.
and
Just
it
in
is
time.
nominal. It is nominal.
Just,
Yeah, in they've altered the advertised numbers, yes.
Yeah,
what a
just-
coincidence.
just as a data point, last evening I had a download speed of 0.5 Mbps and an upload speed of 20.05.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was totally useless. I stood in the middle of the street and used my cell phone as a hotspot to try to do what I had to do before I decided to run to the library and hug, get in there or hug the wall of the building so I can get Wi-Fi service.
Was this like at 7:30 Netflix o'clock?
It
Yeah.
was-
Yeah, Netflix.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it
That-
was just-
7:30, no destruction every night everywhere in the country that has people with children
Uh-huh.
My
or
son,
anybody with a TV.
right, my son, who's a software engineer, tells me that more than half of the entire bandwidth of the internet is taken up by Netflix, essentially, or by streaming video at night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Well, at
Alright,
least the
so
Red
we
Sox
should-
We
game
should
was
tell
an
Netflix
afternoon.
they put nodes. They'll put a rack of hard drives in your local colo. We should tell Netflix there's a colo in Bourne Falmouth area that they need to add some
Right.
edge servers to.
So going
Okay,
forward, Bob, the only thing we're gonna talk about is gap round 2. It's the only other funding opportunity besides the digital equity plan.
The residential retrofit, gap round 2, digital equity planning, or
Deed.
implementation.
Deed is,
What's residential retrofit?
oh, that's
That's
the
the public
housing.
housing,
Oh,
100%
okay, yeah,
coverage
that's
grant.
right, but that's public housing. Okay, all right, got it.
There's as many grants as we got bandwidth for. Some are bigger than others. So
I'm just
it's
trying to
where we
figure
have
out what to put on the future agenda for next week.
I would put BEAD, a challenge, and grant opportunities. I mean, those are both out there, and we'll have information back on the challenge
Okay,
or lack thereof.
No,
Yeah, the challenge will move fast. So if they give us, say, these are the resources, we're gonna have to jump on them fast. So challenge is probably the first discussion we have next. We might even have to call a special meeting and just discuss that, depending on what they lay out.
okay.
I understand that Boundless is making a Cape Cod Tech Council presentation next Wednesday.
But what's that got to do with funding opportunities?
Oh,
Doug?
we'll
Nothing,
get
I
to
was just
that.
thinking that it's timely and that I don't know whether, as we discuss attending meetings, whether or not anyone's gonna be at that meeting. I'm.
Well, so all that's been said public is that Boundless is meeting tonight in executive session with the MLP.
Okay, I got something that said that there was gonna be a Cape Cod Tech Council meeting.
Oh,
next-
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so that's further down the agenda. Hang on there, John, we'll get to it. Okay, I'm looking at the time here. I want to give a little gap between finishing this and starting the next thing at 11. I have other things I have to get done. Can we table anything in terms of public outreach opportunities for the time being? I think, once we get some feedback from the select board on all of this, I think that's the time that we start producing stuff for the residents' Facebook page, maybe commentary articles or something in the enterprise.
I believe, and Brian can correct me if I'm wrong here, but somebody looked up from the state resource for people like us, and we do not need to involve any kind of middleman when we want to share our minutes. As soon as they're approved, we can send them out to anybody we want to. We do not need to go through the town hall for permission to do that.
Yeah,
And
I don't think we ever suggested that. I think the suggestion was that they have to be posted in town hall first.
well, yeah, they do have to be posted on town hall, but they don't have to be posted before we can send them. We can
Well, they
send,
do have to be stamped by
They
the
have to be
town clerk.
stamped.
They don't become public until they're stamped by the town clerk's office, so.
that is true, Anne Marie,
Yeah,
but there is
yeah.
still no requirement in the state regs for boards like ours to wait for that. We can send them as soon as we approve our minutes.
Or even in draft form was the
Even, or even
clarification we got.
drafts. Any of our deliberations, anything that we put into writing, anything that we talk about, we do not need to have a stamped thing posted on the town website or handled by the town in any way before we can do that.
So where was this?
Where did that come
Send-
from, Brian?
Just shot a clarification to the open
Can you
meeting
send it to
law
us?
person.
Yeah,
in
can
the
you
state,
send it
yeah.
to us?
Yeah, I'll dig it
That
up.
would be very useful to see.
Just
Yeah, I think if
just
we-
out of curiosity, like what was the rule? What was the ruling on this? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's this. And we're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be good, Brian, if you send it to the whole committee. So we're,
If anybody asks again.
if anybody asks, we know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, let me go dig it up because it was like it's a while ago. So just
But we also
quick-
agreed as a committee, and I think you voted on this, that nothing would be released to the media unless the committee approved it.
Oh, yeah, well, that's fine, but
We do approve the minutes before Wendy actually finishes them, so. I mean, she finishes them, we approve them, and then,
and then they're good to go.
Then
I-
she submits them,
yeah.
right?
And that is, and I know you wanted to like table public outreach, but our minutes make pretty good public outreach, especially since the Bourne Enterprise has been unable to get even auditing rights for the Bourne Facebook page. So,
Yeah, so I as long as like I wouldn't be comfortable sharing draft minutes with the news or anything, but once the committee
once
has
we approve-
approved
yeah.
the
Once we
minutes,
vote,
it's
again,
good to
Oh, sure.
go, in my opinion, and we now know it's lawful. Like, so that's just my opinion.
yeah,
yep, no, I think
But
that's
yeah, I
perfectly
wouldn't send
appropriate.
drafts to the news.
I mean,
Like,
I-
that's
I
not
make-
appropriate.
I make no pretense that I get everything perfect, and I would just as soon have it approved by everybody before we do anything with it anyway,
right.
which is what we
Mike,
do.
Wendy, generally you do an absolutely great job, but we do need to vote on it.
Oh, yeah.
And we can post them
Sure.
on every bulletin board in town once those are approved. And
Yes, we can.
according to that, I do want to see that the wording of whatever that came from I guess it's the Attorney General's office. Okay, having said that, right now, other than distribution of the minutes, which is publicly available, we're not going to talk anything more about public outreach. Is that correct?
Not today.
Postpone that for today. Okay. Anne Marie, any idea of when the select board might talk about our February presentation? Because we're now due for another quarterly report. And
Let me have that conversation with Mary Jane.
okay, to the extent that it involves funding opportunities like DEI, et cetera, some of that perhaps can come under discussion of this letter.
Okay.
Okay, just a point here. I am going to be out of town, and at least through Monday, I know I will not have an internet connection. I'm going to try to get one on Tuesday evening. But Jed, if I can't get a decent internet connection to get on Zoom, would you be available to attend the select board?
oh, when is that?
If it can get on the agenda, and Anne Marie will let us know, it'll be next Tuesday, correct?
Yeah, so there's two things at play. Do you want this letter that we just drafted for the DEI on that agenda on the 9th?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, because we need to get that going.
Yeah,
And
I can be there.
very good. And
but with respects to the quarterly report, I'm gonna guess not till after Maytown meeting.
yeah,
With
understood.
all the warrant articles that we're reviewing right now and fine tuning and.
Oh, no, I
and-
understand that, and I'm just, I'll mention if I make it, or Jed can mention in passing, that we owe them another quarterly report.
Okay,
And
okay.
clearly that has to happen, after town meeting.
Yes, okay, okay.
And just
And at
point
that
out,
point, okay, I get it.
and, again, if we can get on, during public comment,
Right.
I would say, on Tuesday night that, by the way, we've reminded Verizon and Open Cape that they that they can apply, and we urge them to apply for the what were these called? Residential retrofit for public housing grants, to go and serve our 4 public housing units. And also say, by the way, we owe them another quarterly report, and would like to get in front of them as soon as possible with all these grant opportunities, you know?
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so the next is, there is a discussion next week with the Tech Council, and John, this is where the boundless discussion comes back in.
Right.
One, I don't know if everybody had been able to see the presentation by the municipal light plant to the Falmouth Select Board. I sent the link for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay.
I watched it
Yeah,
and took
I
a
did
lot of
too.
notes.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
they did a nice triage of the 3 opportunities that are available. They're very similar to the ones that Tony put in our February presentation, but they didn't give me, there wasn't time for me to present. Boundless is in a closed session in discussion with is it the MLP, or is it with
With the MLP, right? So
Okay,
Boundless has still not had any contact with the town.
right.
That's what I found to be odd. They weren't even at the meeting.
I think they're trying to show the proper respect. The problem is the MLP was
Mhm.
not technically set up to handle this. They're supposed to be an independent authority, and I guess the way they were designed was, oh, they're gonna go out and propose getting the funding and actually have the MLP run the fiber system as an independent authority. And then, of course, what happens is when Boundless comes along, they're going around all that. They're saying, well, you don't need to raise any money. We're gonna do it for you, but we're gonna control it. So the MLP had no direction, and that's what they were kind of looking for, and the
Yeah.
selectmen seemed a little confused, and then they got the idea, but they all want the MLP experts to do the preliminary negotiating. But
Negotiate what? Negotiate what?
negotiate what it is exactly that Boundless is presenting. I guess they're gonna need some town rights of way, and there's some legal questions as to who's gonna control what, after the 5 years.
Mhm.
No, it's privately owned. So the town has no interest, financial interest in it. The town already has a permitting process for utilities. It's very unclear to me that there's anything to negotiate here.
I thought there was, and in terms of the fact that the town could either cooperate or not. It wouldn't be a matter of.
So it would
access.
be, so on top of, they probably are gonna ask for letters of support for grant funding. They're gonna ask for an expedited permitting process.
Well-
Maybe possibly need a little bit of town land, that kind of, like, nothing major, but they probably have, they instructed the MLP to go get the laundry list. Like, what is the
Yeah, I
actual
saw
ask?
that, but again, there's something more to the story here is kind of what I'm feeling, because Boundless could have been in the meeting. They have been doing everything they can to avoid direct contact with the town. So I don't know. I find it weird.
Well, I
didn't-
Also,
think
too,
I didn't get that sense of it at all, Jed. I thought that they were trying to establish what the actual lines of responsibility and communication are going to be, and having to start with the MLP, and then they're asking the
Right.
MLP to clarify that, and then they'll be talking to the town.
I know, but why? I thought that.
That it's a little weird. Like, I figured they'd at least send one person just in case
Totally.
something, just to sit in the audience,
They
just
weren't
in
even in
case.
the audience. Totally. Yeah.
Well, maybe somebody was in the
well,
audience.
but the other,
Don't plan to present, don't get in the way, just be there in case you get asked a question. That part was a little weird.
Well,
Mhm.
remember that the request for interest came from the MLP. Okay, and
Yes.
so
Right.
they followed that chain of command, even though what they were proposing was totally, they all knew it was totally out of the lane of the MLP. And now this discussion with the MLP is, are you guys with us, or are you against us, or do you have concerns, or what you just said? Courtney Bird was preparing a list of asks, and they were only asks from Boundless,
Mhm.
including a 5-year exit buyout or something like that.
Right.
rights of way, other things. And they were gonna have, I think that's what this discussion tonight
We'll
is.
see. But it's
And,
also
and-
gonna be executive session. Boundless
Right.
won't do it in public.
Right,
Why?
Yeah.
Right, because I think.
Maybe that's why they wanted to do it with the MLP, because it could be an executive session and keep
Well,
the
you could do
details not
executive
public.
session with the select board too.
and the other,
But the,
True.
right, but the select board didn't charge them, but said supported them in pursuing that avenue. They're not, they're also pursuing the other options, the public-private entity and the other recommendations that they made. But the town has an interest in pursuing what Boundless has to offer. So I think the MLP's charge, from what I got from the information, was to get additional data collection. And this is what the needs are of the town, and you want to come in and do this, then here are, like, travel down the road of, and this is why it's executive session, here are our asks. So they don't want that to be made public, right? Similar
Right.
to how we have executive sessions with negotiations that, for, outside of what the public can hear at that point. So that's why it's an executive session.
and
But
if
Boundless, like you said, Bob, they're still in that process of the RFI process in taking the next steps in the pursuit of where they're at. So that's within their MLP purview. And then the support of the select board to travel down that process with this private entity, which they didn't expect.
with
So
regard to,
that's,
with regard to talking.
that's why.
Yeah, again, they're functioning more or less the way we function. They're gonna just provide advice to the select board at the end, because they have absolutely no authority under, what is it, section 164 to deal with this.
Right,
Right.
which was what their problem was the fact that they're saying you set us
Right.
up to do A, and all of a sudden option B comes along. And the other thing that they needed, which was very important, was that they needed some legal counsel. And they're gonna need the town to authorize the funding for that. Because once you
Right.
get into even the preliminary negotiations, and having been involved with some major broadcast tower leases, I can tell you, you need somebody who really understands these kinds of real estate rulings, and there's options here with buyouts and other penalties that can become really complex, bonding. So they're gonna need some help with that if it gets that far.
Right, right.
Okay, so just as a point of clarification here, I'm taking notes on this and under liaison with other towns.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, have we skipped over the liaison with the Cape Cod Tech Council for
Well-
number E?
well,
No,
again, the
no.
tech council is sort of part of this, because is it next Wednesday, I believe, on the
Yeah,
the
at 9
regular
o'clock.
10 a.m. meeting, Boundless is on the agenda to do a kind of a formal presentation, and that's where I think there will be some proposal for them to make contact with the other towns, or what they were talking about a 3-year schedule for the other towns. So we'll see what they say.
Who can be at
again-
can you be at that? I am booked at 9 o'clock next Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
Okay,
Are
I
we
can,
gonna-
Okay,
Yeah.
Jed, I'm gonna, there's a better than 50-50 chance that I'll be in the car driving that day, so I won't be able to be on that call.
Are we gonna have less than a quorum?
I think so. I'd like to drop in. I can probably be home by 9:15, and I can drop into that meeting. I'd like.
I'm available, so do we need to post the meeting?
Well, that's what I'm kind of.
Well, I will stay
researching.
off of it, okay? And so Jed, John, and Brian
Okay.
are the 3 designees for that. I will stay off of it. You guys have free reign to go and talk, discuss, or
That's
whatever.
what I wanted to
because-
discuss. Okay.
Great.
Very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would be good to have you, because there was some discrepancy, because they said they were doing 1/32 splits, and then when I read the documents, it said 1/64. So
Right.
So-
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to discuss some of the stuff in the Falmouth meeting, but there was some financial stuff brought up that we may want to discuss at the next meeting. Like Brian, they talked about the bonding being risky, and this is stuff that's your area of expertise. That that I'm not really sure of. And then they also mentioned that they only had 15% penetration in Taunton, and I don't know if that's true or not either. I had the impression it was much higher than that.
I think
It
it's more
wasn't
area than that.
It wasn't
can-
penetration, it was coverage.
Oh, okay.
Coverage, yeah.
Coverage, okay. But I was just concerned because they talked about some of the financial options, and then they got into the point where apparently the town financial manager felt that some of the if they have to go out and borrow the money, that it might be a risky proposition if they don't generate enough income to pay it back.
Mhm.
For the
Yeah,
short term.
it's done with revenue bonds.
Yeah,
I
revenue
think that's
bond.
way down the road for us.
Yep, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We can,
Hmm.
we have no options like that at all. on
Yeah,
the-
like that kind of bond is like more difficult because of the early years, like where versus just a straight up general obligation, which is off of town revenue, is a simpler. It's
Okay.
financing structures. We're years ahead of that problem.
Okay,
Table that
revenue
discussion
bond.
for 2025. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, with regard to any other towns, any other discussions with other towns? I did attend I was on a call with the Broadband Coalition, and again, there was some general discussion of Boundless, but nothing in any great detail. There's again more discussion about non-response from MBI with regard to New Bedford's proposal on Gap Networks 1, but that was the extent of it. Okay, anything else with the other towns? I presume nothing is going on in the Outer Cape right now,
I haven't heard anything, yeah.
right? Maybe those folks will chime in on the Tech Council next week. Okay. Liaison with legislators and staff. From my understanding, Mark Lanigan, who's the aide to Senator Markey, has been making some forays to try to get some response out of MBI, and nothing specific has come out of that. I don't know how aggressive he has been. I have not talked to him and communicated with him in probably 2 weeks.
Right now, they're all in the final push for ACP wrangling, so they're probably a little busy with DC sorting
Right.
that out.
Right.
Also,
Yes, we're-
the select board is hosting the legislative bodies at our meeting at the end of April. I can't remember if it's the 23rd or the 30th, but they'll be present at our select board meeting.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 23rd or 30th. Okay. Yeah. I'm out of town for my anniversary that weekend. I can't remember exactly what days, but I'd like to be there.
Yeah, I forget whether it's the 23rd or 30th. I actually think it's I'll take a look and let you know.
So immediately before a town meeting, they're gonna have a general discussion with the legislature?
Yeah,
Legislative.
just, you know what? It's good communication and connection, and here's what's happening in the town, and anyone who has questions and need inquiries, they can address it
What
with our
time
legislative
might
body.
that be, Anne Marie?
Pardon me?
What time is that? Is that like, 5 o'clock for a chat or?
No, it's during the select board meeting. They're going to be on the agenda.
Uh-huh, okay.
Is there still gonna be a public comment session right there before?
I should hope so.
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
it's an agenda item on a regular select board.
That might be an appropriate time to, voices crying in the wilderness, talking about our difficulties in communicating with MBI, and
Mhm.
continued assistance from the legislative delegation would be appreciated to try to get some more response, or frankly, more staff from MBI. I think that's the problem. They don't have enough people to do all of this. Anyway,
Yeah, it's either gonna be the 16th or the 30th, because I don't believe we're meeting on the 23rd.
Okay.
So, I wanna
Okay.
say the 30th, but I'm not definite on that, but I'll let you know. I'll just shoot an email out to everyone with the date.
Great.
very good. It's a good time to exchange like business cards, etc., just so they know who the heck we are. And okay. point of contact for new bridge fiber infrastructure. Again, the Lanigan hasn't gotten back with a contact point in the core, so we will leave that as is.
And we have a meeting April 9th, so I'll reach out again. I just don't think that person exists yet.
I think Mark gave me the email of somebody at the state or core to work our way up there. I think I forwarded it to Anne Marie and Bob.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that. I will look again. Okay, are we done with this agenda?
So Craig Martin at the core, he said to reach out to.
Craig Martin.
Here, I'll re-forward it to you.
Okay.
It was a while back, so I don't know if it was a useful lead or not. I can't remember. Yeah, someone at Mass Dot said talk to Craig Martin at the core.
So New England District of the Core. Okay. I know how to
Oh,
reach
we could,
both of them.
if he's high enough up, he's probably on somewhere. Project manager.
No worries. No worries. Okay, Jed, are you available to bring up the agenda for the next meeting?
Should be out.
Okay. Yes, it is. So this is our working agenda as opposed to the public agenda, correct?
Yeah, right. So what I've been doing is the last level of detail, I've been deleting that before I send it to Maria.
Mm-hmm.
But I leave this just for our own notes. So meeting on the 18th, I've got review and approval of 2 sets of minutes. Right, on the digital equity plan, we've got the select board discussion. Potentially there's a meeting that will happen. And then any progress on the grant proposal. I put the B challenge in for discussion under funding opportunities with gap round 2. Public outreach is still there. Then we've got this item D. We need this, right? We still haven't talked about
Right.
that.
Right.
We've got the boundless presentation to talk about. Liaison with other towns.
Okay, this is all contingent on getting a go-ahead from the select board to go after the digital equity grant, right?
Yeah, well, this item is, yeah.
Well, again, true.
Well,
Okay,
it's
yeah, we're all
still
set with that.
We
We're
can
all set.
still talk about their discussion and feedback, even if it's,
Yeah.
you know, as
Yeah,
they
and this
say,
could get moved
sometimes
to the-
you pray to God and sometimes the answer is no.
And this could get moved to the 16th and it will still be before. I've got the next meeting in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, okay, I think we can live with that.
Yeah, so this could be on the 16th and not the 9th, depending on how they want to do that.
What I'm gonna do very tentatively is just call to just determine interest more than anything else with continue with the library board of trustees. I'll make another call, although he didn't answer my email, to Chris Oliver at the school board to just discuss from his level what his interest is and what needs to be bubbled up to the school committee and then to certainly through his boss and then up to the school committee. I'm going to continue discussions with Kara Kara Garcia at the who's the director of the Housing Authority to discuss with her board again the fact that this stuff is coming in, and the navigator would probably have involvement with all of these if the navigator was to be funded under the grant proposal. So if that's okay, this is just information exchange discussions,
Sure.
no policy at all involved.
All right. All right, so we're good with this agenda?
Yes.
Yep.
All All right, I'll send it to Maria today.
Can you send the extended one out to us?
Oh, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'll
Yep.
send the detailed one to the committee and then I'll send the, you know, the abridged one to Maria.
By the way, one other group that I would talk to probably would be the Council on Aging, and there is a board that manages the Veterans Community Building. Is that right, Anne Marie?
Yes, there's a board of trustees. Joe
Okay,
Gordon is the chair.
Joe Gordon. Okay,
I think Chris Farrell might be vice chair.
I've met Chris. Because I've actually seen people who I would say, without characterizing them, people in cars who looked, they were unhoused, who were using cell phones outside the library. And clearly they were trying to do Wi-Fi on that.
God bless them.
So it could be in the
Well-
parking lot of the community building, it could be in the parking lot of the school buildings, et cetera. So we want to make sure we cover as many bases as possible.
The town buildings are all going to be directly connected to the backhaul, so they're about the only places with reliable internet in the whole town.
Right.
We just have to be, whoever the contractor is, we have to be a little bit careful about security here. Because you're opening this thing up, so you've really got to wall it off from anything going on that has to do directly with town government and so that
Mm.
it connects to the internet and nothing else. Because it can get really nasty in a hurry if you open a public Wi-Fi spot like that as a place that people can steal information from.
Well, again, you know, we want them to connect to the town website for town services, and but
Right,
Absolutely.
but beyond that, I don't know whether the
Yeah.
town has got
Yeah,
their
it-
administrative stuff walled off or not.
It's not something you just order on Amazon and plug in, yeah, but like a dedicated IT person with the county will know the correct things to
Right,
put in and how to keep them separated. So it's not for professional, it's an easy problem.
Right.
It's
There has to
already
be a-
public, but it's already public Wi-Fi. We're not
Right.
changing the construction of the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's probably already, the system's already in place and we're just
Right.
extending it basically. So it's
Right.
not, they don't have to actually add that. It's there. They just
Correct.
have to make sure whatever they're plugging in is compliant with what they're already using.
Right. Simple.
okay.
Good.
Seeing no other business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, and Brian seconds. All those in favor, anybody not in
Aye.
favor?
All right.
Seeing no objections? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, folks, and we'll be in contact. I'll send information out as I make these contacts, but we'll meet again in 2 weeks. And
Very good.
Does
Thank you.
anyone else want to hop on the bee challenge thing? Because it's going to be
11
me and
o'clock.
Bob
Everybody,
and
yeah.
Wendy, right? Wendy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll send Wendy the invite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please do. Could you all please, if you have corrections for the last minutes, you can email them to me. And then we don't have to waste time on it at the next meeting.
And we can just go through with corrected minutes, right? Exactly. There'll be 2 sets of minutes when we get to the 18th. Okay,
That too.
okay.